It's the Android battle of 2012. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com. This is the Samsung Galaxy S3. This is the HTC One X. Let's put them to the test and see which one wins in a PhoneDog dogfight. If you listen really closely, there's a man singing outside of my office on the corner of Trade and Tryon. He's probably singing because he's as excited about this dogfight as I am. This is the ultimate dogfight of the year when it comes to Android, at least for right now, on June, whatever today is, June 13th, something like that. This is the ultimate dogfight. The Galaxy S3 is in the house, along with the HTC One X, both high-end Android devices, and these are the two international versions. So the One X has obviously come to the United States on AT&T. It has a slightly different processor. It has 4G LTE connectivity, but this is the international Samsung Galaxy S3, so it's a fair battle to do these between the two as opposed to doing, the US version and the non-US version. Let's make this thing fair. It's a dogfight, or actually a gold fight, as if you watched my official smartphone rankings week 14 video. Apparently I say things like gold fight. I say crazy words that don't, or phrases that don't really make any sense. That's okay though. That's part of the fun of doing videos on YouTube. YouTube doesn't care. You don't care, do you, YouTube? That's what I thought. Samsung Galaxy S3, HTC One X. This thing is packing, at least on the international front, a quad-core 1.4 gigahertz Exynos processor. It's packing a 4.8-inch Super AMOLED HD display with Pentile technology, an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, and some cool features we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. And then I dropped the phone and I broke it and the dogfight ended. No, I'm just kidding. But 1.9 megapixel front-facing camera, Android 4.0, with the new version of TouchWiz. Some people are calling it Nature UX, TouchWiz Nature UX. I haven't heard any Samsung executives or any Samsung PR people refer to it as that. I just heard the new TouchWiz, or TouchWiz 2012, so that's what I'm going to run with. One X is available at AT&T in the States. This is the international version. The international build is packing a quad-core 1.5 gigahertz NVIDIA Tegra 3 processor, a 4.7-inch HD display, an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, front-facing shooter, Android 4.0 with HTC Sense version 4. Now, one thing that's really important about both of these devices, you've got a 2,100 milliamp hour battery here, which is removable. You have a 1,800 milliamp hour non-removable battery over on the HTC One X. So a little bit of a smaller battery over here. Both of these are HSPA Plus devices because they're the international versions. When this comes to the States, I should say, it's getting LTE, getting a dual-core processor at 1.5 gigahertz, the Snapdragon S4. So there are some changes to this one as well. It's going to be very similar to the One X in the States, but it does have a bigger battery and a slightly larger display. Let's cut into this and take a look, shall we? Let's look at the applications here. So Sense 4 running over here, HTC's newest build of their popular Sense platform. This is running the new TouchWiz, or TouchWiz 2012, the newest version of Samsung's user interface. Both are on Ice Cream Sandwich, so it's interesting because, Ice Cream Sandwich, you could see, obviously the stock version looks one way, but you can see with skins how different these devices actually look. Over here, you can see search, Play Store, and menu. You get your widgets up here at the top, very easy to access, and then you get over here your applications. You can see how smooth both of these devices are. Quad-core processors, pretty impressive. Down here I can scroll easily between my applications on TouchWiz, and then over here I can go to Frequent and Downloads. Then of course I have my status stuff over here as well. Notification bars to take a look. You can see the differences between the two here. Obviously a revised version over here with quite a few different options up at the top. Now it's anybody's guess as to how many of those will be there on the US builds, but right now Wi-Fi, GPS, mute, screen rotation, mobile data, Bluetooth, driving mode, and more. And then from both of these, because they're Ice Cream Sandwich devices, you can of course clear stuff out by swiping it from left to right, or you can go into settings here and take a look at what those look like. Here are the settings menus, of course, very similar in a lot of ways, but you can see the TouchWiz elements and you can see Sense 4 elements over here. So a little bit different. Device, you can see it's obviously labeled differently. Personalized, or personal rather, as opposed to device. And then you get phone down here and more. So one area HTC's done a really good job at in the past, Samsung's kind of caught up in some ways, is personalization. So we can come in here on the HTC One X and really see some personalization features to allow you to make the device your own. So I can come in here and see the lock screen style, for example. I've got weather, got a bunch of different stuff, and I don't want to focus too much on the stock Android stuff because you've seen that in all of my videos. This is kind of what I want to focus on. Some of the personalization things, and Android's so similar in a lot of ways, it's kind of nice to look at these devices and see what makes them different. So you can change your lock screen, so when you turn it off and back on, we can set it to the weather, for example, like I have it right now, so you can see it in Charlotte, it's 31 degrees Celsius, and I've got my shortcuts down there. You can change the skin as well by going through here on the One X, changing to aluminum, or aluminium, depending on how you pronounce it, fracture, matte, Infinite, and more, and you can download more from HTC Hub and that's a really nice feature as well. So you can do a lot of changes here. You get a lot of different wallpaper options. We can take a look at HTC wallpapers, for example. You can see you got quite a choice here. Samsung's doing a great job personalization. They've got a couple of different options here. So we'll go into obviously wallpaper. You can change the home screen, the lock screen. You get 5 Samsung wallpapers on this device. But the real benefit here, take a look at some of these features like display. This is what I really want to highlight because the Galaxy S3, they've done a great job with adding just little features where you're like, how in the world did I ever go without those? My personal favorite, so far, take a look at the status bar up there and you're going to see it. It's the battery percentage indicator. I don't have to root this device or tweak it or mod it or do anything. In addition to the typical battery indicator, I've got a physical percentage that I can activate just by going down here and going to display battery percentage, and throws it up in the main menu or in the main area up top. I can auto adjust screen power. I can do this. This is a really cool feature, Smart Stay. It displays, or it looks at my, when I'm looking at the device rather, and I'm scrolling up and down in a dark room, let's say, and I haven't touched it for a while, it'll use the front-facing camera to detect whether my face is still watching the screen, and that's a really nice feature as well. You also get a lot of goodies out here with security. Take a look at this, and you can see, obviously, you have your screen lock capabilities on both of these devices, so you get face unlock and things like that. What I really like is, let's go down here and take a look at lock screen options, and you can see all the different things I can do on this device. So we talked a little bit about some of the customizations you can make to the lock screen here. But you've got some shortcuts you can do. You have an information ticker, camera quick access, clock, dual clock, weather, and then of course my set wake up commands as well. So I'll turn it off and back on so you can see the lock screen here. And you can see my clock, the weather, you can see this news ticker that I have at the bottom, which is really nice. I can access my news without unlocking the display. And then I have these voice recognition commands as well, which they're really cool, but they usually don't work on camera, so bear with me, I'll try. Play music. Play music. And you can see from the lock screen I can directly play my music. It's that easy. So a lot of these little touches like that really make this device fun to work with. Another one that I don't have enabled right now but I use quite a bit is when I'm in contacts, there's an ability to tap the top of the display. So you take 2 of your fingers, tap the top, not the screen, but the top, and it'll auto-rotate up to the top of the list. That's a really nice feature as well. So a lot of cool little things like that. Another one of my favorites, just focusing on a lot, because Galaxy S3 has quite a few of these. Press and hold, and then shift it, and it goes right into camera mode, just like that. Very quick and easy. So both of these running ice cream sandwich. Let's take a look at some of the widgets as well, because you do get some stock Android widgets on both of these, and then you can scroll around here and see frequent and downloaded. But first, let's talk about build quality. So Samsung, typical build quality here, you're going to remember this from all Samsung devices. You're either going to love it or hate it, but it's very plasticky. You've got your volume rocker over on the left side, your power button on the right side, micro USB charging port at the bottom, your 3.5mm headphone jack at the top, and interestingly enough, the US versions are getting this physical home button. So you get the physical button here, no changes to the design from the European version to the US version. It's going to look exactly the same with a menu button here, which is really hard to see with white paint, and then a back button over here. Press and hold the home button to access your typical stuff here. You got, as you can see, your task stuff, camera, music player, and I can easily get rid of those, and I can access my task manager from there. I can press and hold the menu button to access search as well, and then of course I can do all the typical stuff here. 7 home screens on both of these devices, which I can easily scroll between. You have HTC's carousel effect over here, and then you have kind of an inverse carousel effect over on the Samsung Galaxy S3. Let's take a look at the widgets here, because they are pretty cool. Let's go into personalization, or actually I take that back. Let's press and hold, and you can see that HTC has a really unique way of doing this as well. You got your 7 home screens over here, and you can scroll through the widgets and kind of see where you have room on your actual device. On the Galaxy S3 over here, you can scroll through and you get some Galaxy S3 stuff, or some TouchWiz stuff rather, like alarm, assistive light, you get clock, and then we go down to double twist. A couple of things I've downloaded, but like dual clock here, email, which is a Google thing, Gmail, which is a Google thing, Google Plus Post, which is a Google thing, but you'll see some, S Planner, you'll see a couple of Samsung ones in here. Some are customizable, some aren't, but then you can come over here and take a look as well. And we'll go to Calendar, for example, just because it's an easy one to do. I've always given HTC a hard time because their stock widgets haven't been customizable, or at least their Sense widgets haven't. And now I can come in here, let's go over here, for example, and I can adjust the agenda widget and kind of make it my own. So I can customize these. Quite a few of Samsung's can be customized as well. I don't know about the S Planner, and actually I'm not going to put that. I'm going to go ahead and delete that and not put that on the home screen, or else you will have my agenda for the week, and I've got some conference calls that probably shouldn't go on this video. Super secret, super secretive life of Phone Dog Era. No, I'm just kidding. It's really not that important, but you can see, a lot of different customization options and choices there. And also I want to take a look at the phone application. You can see the differences here between the two. Obviously, I have some contacts here. You've got your dial pad, and then when I start dialing, it'll bring people up. So obviously, Bill Stevenson over here. I've got some shortcuts, logs, favorites, and contacts. Down here, people, groups, and call history. So call history and logs, very similar. Groups and favorites, I guess you could say it's kind of similar. And then people along with contacts. So a little bit of a different look here. Video calling on the international version. And then down here I have the ability to get rid of the numeric keypad if I want to, where I can easily see my contacts. Now it tends to get a little bit jumbled up here in my opinion, because you do, you look like Bill Stevenson, John Rogers, you make phone calls, you have missed and received calls, and it can become a challenge after you have a bunch of stuff in there to kind of distinguish which ones are calls and which ones are contacts. It just seems to get a little bit cluttered. I do like the organization of this one a little bit better. Speaking of organization, special thanks to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones like this for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you get your features set up on your One X, or when it comes out in the States, the Galaxy S3. All your clock settings, all your Twitter settings, all your Gmail settings, all your phone settings, and more will be set up at Best Buy Mobile. In part 2, we'll take a look at some of the speeds on these devices, speed test, quadrant standard, and more, so stick around.